This is lesson 4.6. We're at day 2 and we're constructing functions from word problems. Number 1, when Charlotte planted her tomato plant, it grew 3 inches per week. I'm going to highlight that, 3 inches per week. After 5 weeks, the tomato plant was 23 inches tall. Find and interpret the rate of change and the initial value. Remember, whatever I write, you write. Rate of change is, of course, the slope, which is letter N, and the initial value is the y-intercept, B. So first, let's find the rate of change. Hopefully, you can already do that. We highlighted it here. When it says the word per, that means slope. So the slope is 3. Rate of change is 3. Now we're going to interpret that. What does that mean? Well, we just read the context. 3 inches per week. So the plant grew 3 inches per week. Don't forget to pause and write it down. All right, now let's interpret and find the initial value. So we know m is 3. We know we have a function y equals mx plus b. It's also an equation. And we know we can find b by plugging in points. Let's see. I have, after 5 weeks, it's 23 inches tall. That is a point. This is 5, 23. Okay? I'm going to do this the old way, where we first get it into point float form, like we did the other day. So here we go. This is, of course, x1 and y1, and we have our m up there. That's 3. So it's y minus 23 equals 3 times x minus 5. Okay, if you're running out of room here, we can slide over to the side. I'll rewrite it over here. Y minus 23 equals 3 x minus 5. I didn't change anything, just rewriting it for more room. I'm going to distribute. So I have still y minus 23 equals 3x minus 15. 3 times 5 is 15. Let's add the 23 to both sides of this equation to get slope-intercept form. We have y equals 3x plus, it's going to be an 8. A negative 15 and a positive 23 is 8. So here it is. You know the slope is 3. We already know that. And now we have the b, which is 8. So the y-intercept or initial value is 8. And what does that mean in this case? Well, the y-intercept is just where we started. So in this case, if we're talking about a plant growing, it's the initial height of the plant. It's how high the plant was in the beginning. So we can call it the beginning height was 8. 8 what? Let's see, they talked about inches right here. Inches. That's it. We're going to do the odds here. So let's skip number 2 and go to number 3. Same thing, we're going to find and interpret rate of change and initial value. So the question says, in order to enter a state fair, there is an admission cost. We don't know what it is, though. We do know that each game is $3. That's one of our key words, each. Okay, Stephen went to the state fair. He played 4 games and spent a total of $20. That's important as well. I'm going to highlight this. 4 games was 20 bucks. Okay, so that's how much he spent on the admission and the games total. That's how much he spent total. So let's first start with rate of change, which you guys know is M for slope. So what is the slope? Well, it's the one where they talk about per, each, or every. Each game is $3, so the slope is 3. How do we interpret that? Just use the context. Each game is $3. Pause and write that down. Okay, now we're going to find the initial value. We want B here. You can write that here. I'm going to write it on the side so we don't run out of room like number 1. Okay, so if we know the slope is 3, we know M equals 3. We also know here 4 and 20 is a point. 4, comma, 20. So that is our x1 and y1. So if we go ahead and use point slope form, we can figure out slope intercept form. We're going to plug in those 3 points, their values. Y minus y1 is 20 equals m, which is 3 times x minus 4 for x1. Okay, I'm going to distribute. We have y minus 20 equals 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Last step to get it into slope-intercept form. Let's get everything away from y. Let's add 20. Okay, that gets rid of everything on the left except for the y. So y equals 3x plus 8. So this time, hey, that's kind of funny. They're the same numbers as last time. The slope was 3 again, and the y-intercept was 8 again. So the y-intercept is what we want for the second piece here. The initial value, the y-intercept, is 8. And what does that mean? What happens in the beginning on this one? Going to a state fair, playing some games. Well, the beginning cost is their admission cost, the beginning cost, the beginning fee. So the admission cost is $8. Okay, we're going to do number 5. All right, we've got a photographer. Charges $20 for a photo plus a sitting fee. Luann spent $55 on 2 photographs and a sitting fee. Find and interpret the rate of change and initial value. So let's go ahead and highlight some things. We have $20 for a photo. We also have the information here, 55 on 2 photographs. That's number 2, right? So there are 2 numbers there. All right. So the rate of change, now it doesn't give us any keywords in this one, but see if you can figure out which one's the rate of change. Pause the video. Right here, $20 for a photo really means 20 each photo or per photo, right? That's a keyword. I know they didn't give it to us, but hopefully you knew that means the same thing. So the rate of change is 20. Let's go ahead and interpret that. So read the context clues around the number 20. What does the number 20 mean? It costs $20 per photo. Okay, so that one's easy. Let's work on the y-intercept. So we know n is 20, and we know a point. We know $55 is what it costs for 2 photographs, and this one's a little confusing. That's why I wanted to do it with you. This is actually 2, 55. I know it's written backwards, but understand 2 talks about photographs, and we know it's 20 times the number of photographs, so x is the photographs. 20x, remember slope, mx? Okay, so this is x1, y1, and of course we know our m. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Plug it in. Y minus 55 equals 20 times x minus 2. We're going to distribute. Y minus 55 equals 20x minus 40. 20 times negative 2 is negative 40. Almost done with this one. We're going to add 55 to both sides to get y by itself. And we have y equals 20x plus 15. All right, so that is our slope we know, and our y-intercept, right? That's the b, that's the m, and of course b is what we want right here, the initial value. That's 15. Let's interpret that 15. What happens in the beginning here? Photographer charging money for a photo and a sitting fee. Well, in the beginning, there's a sitting fee. Okay, that's what you start paying off. You start paying a sitting fee and then you get charged per photo. So the beginning fee is the sitting fee. So in this case, it's a $15 sitting fee. These can all be worded in different ways. I'm not worried about you having exactly what I have. Okay, there's room to work there. All right, so that's number 5. Let's do number 7, the last one we're going to do together, and you're going to finish the worksheet. The graph shows the distance Jeffrey is from a water fountain after a certain amount of time. Find and interpret the rate of change and initial value. So again, we want the m and we want the b. We have a graph. We can find m from a graph. Okay, you can do this multiple ways. You can just look over here and say we're going to go up by, it looks like 2, from 8 to 10 is 2, and we're going to the right, we're going over by 1. So the slope is rise over run, which is 2. Some people that want to do the ordered pairs, okay, fine, you don't have to erase, you can do that one if you like it. We can use these 2 points, okay, the first point is 3, 8, and the second point is 4, 10, and we do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's going to be 10 minus 8 over 4 minus 3, which of course is 2 over 1, which is 2. Okay? If I'm going too fast, pause the video. Make sure you understand what you're writing. It's pointless to write something down and not understand it. So the slope is 2, the rate of change is 2, and what does that mean? Distance away from a water fountain. So remember, slope has 2 units, feet and seconds, and you can use the word per, feet per second, feet per second, 2 feet per second closer. It's the distance. Let's see if my graph said distance is away from water after a certain amount of time. Actually, it's how far he is further, not closer. He's getting further away from the fountain. Right? As it's going up, he's getting further and further away. These numbers are going up. Distance gets further. Okay. Now let's get the initial value. Okay, I'm going to do it down here. I have room down here. Wherever you have room, you can do it. Okay, so we have the m. We already know m. That's 2. We need a point. Any point will do. Let's go ahead and use the first point, which I already labeled right here, 3, 8. So I'm going to label that down here, 3, comma 8 is going to be x1 and y1. And let's go ahead and plug those things in. Y minus y1, which is 8, equals the slope of 2 times x minus 3. Distribute. Y minus 8 will equal 2x minus 2 times 3 is 6. That's really a 2 times negative 3, that's why it's a negative 6. And add 8 to both sides. So y equals 2x, negative 6 plus 8 is plus 2. We already knew the slope. The y-intercept is also 2. This is what I want. The b here, the initial value, is 2. What does that mean in the context? What happens in the beginning here? Well, the graph is showing the distance he is away from a water fountain. So in the beginning, he was 2 feet away. I'm going to say he started in the beginning, right? Started 2 feet away. That's what the 2 is. Beginning. And of course, I know it's feet because it's the y-intercept and the y-axis is labeled feet. He started 2 feet away. So you're going to work on the rest of that worksheet and follow instructions in Google Classroom.